hope I hope your son has a disability.
From becoming obsessed with a person a decade younger than her and believing she was in a relationship with them without their knowledge, even going as far as flying out to see them.
What are you gonna do in Florida? I'm gonna go visit my man. That's what I'm gonna do.
To wishing a disability on her closest friend's child, Lauren Ambrose is a rare case study in what deep delusion looks like on social media. Lauren first started making TikTok videos in 2022. While her first TikTok account was eventually banned for unknown reasons, her Instagram shows a more normal and social Lauren who used social media to connect with close friends, some of whom were real-life friends.
I came to Instagram because I got banned for no fucking reason.
But in early 2023, she created a new account that she would soon become infamous for. Her videos mainly consisted of lip syncs, random edits, and occasional rambling. Not long after, she also began making mukbang videos, which garnered decent views and gave her some traction on the platform.
So I'm gonna be doing a mukbang on this. So
while this helped her gain some followers, her real momentum came from how bizarre her behavior appeared. Lauren had autism and possibly other mental disabilities as well. Because of this, she often acted in a bizarre way to attract attention on the platform. And that approach seemed to work better than any other type of content she had produced up to that point. To make matters worse, Lauren is also very careless when it comes to her mental health medications, often taking them while drinking heavily and vaping as well.
Lauren. Depression and birth control.
And you took those with liquor.
Yep. Nice.
Realizing the increase in views that this new type of cringe content was bringing her, Lauren doubled down and became even more bizarre with each post. At one point, she even brought up her 50-year-old ex-boyfriend David on her TikToks. Aside from the more than 20-year age gap between them, Lauren was bizarrely trying to find a girlfriend to match him with, all while David sat there clearly uncomfortable with the camera shoved in front of his face.
He's single, looking for a woman, so if anyone's interested, hit him up.
Aside from these cringe TikToks, she was also showing signs of delusion. She would repeatedly and seriously brag about being a 10 and claim that she could get any man she wanted. Under one of her posts, she wrote, "I am 100% a baddie, and I am also living the single life, and I love it. I know I am a 10. She even bragged about having 5 fiancés simultaneously, something that foreshadows her later behavior. And while some of these men might have been catfish, Lauren has actually dated multiple men throughout her life. However, she is as immature as it gets, often referring to these men as her fiancés without them ever proposing to her, and then posting videos claiming she is engaged.
Hey guys.
Hey guys.
So we want to make an announcement. So me and Antoine are now engaged. Aren't we, babe?
Mm-hmm.
Last night. Now, no, he did not propose.
No.
And the comment section did not let this slip by, with one person saying, "He doesn't have a clue what's going on." Another commenter mocked Lauren, saying, "My husband and I are married. One day I am going to tell him." Lauren is also notorious for having terrible interactions with her partners after breaking up with them, which led to her first major controversy online. Around the same time she was gaining more followers on TikTok in late 2023, Lauren was in a relationship with a black man, whom she later broke up with. But instead of letting it go peacefully, or at least confronting the person privately, Lauren did the exact opposite and brought the entire situation to TikTok. She began speaking badly about him and even went as far as saying she wished she were black so that she could insult him by using the N-word.
I would love to say that word to his right now if I was black. If I was black, I would so say the word.
Unsurprisingly, this brought a massive backlash from the internet. At one point, a person even confronted her during a TikTok livestream, to which Lauren attempted to excuse her behavior by pointing out that she had dated a black boyfriend, even though she was being accused of directing racist remarks toward him.
You said word today?
Yeah, because my boyfriend
I don't give a if your boyfriend is black and told you could say the word.
While this incident brought widespread backlash online, Lauren has had even worse moments on the internet that never went as viral as this one. For example, Lauren once said the N-word during a live stream with a group of her friends. This happened despite the fact that she had earlier condemned one of her friends for referring to her ex-boyfriend with a slur in an attempt to insult him. And when her friends on the stream condemned her for saying the slur, Lauren tried to blame it on being drunk at the time, even though she continued talking on the live stream for nearly an hour after that moment. Despite her excuses, accusations of racism have become become closely associated with Lauren's name. Whenever people discuss her online, her racist remarks are often brought up, with one Reddit post even describing her by saying she drops lots of slurs. Lauren would later make a statement defending herself, saying, "Just because I said the N-word 7 months ago and last year doesn't make me racist. I love black people, and how could I be friends with, date, or even hype up a black person if I were racist? You all are just mad that I am thriving and you are not." Given the way she framed it around her own success compared to those accusing her, people did not take her defense seriously, which did nothing to counter the accusations of racism. Not only that, but more troubling behaviors soon came to light, making Lauren's reputation even worse. And before we go further into the story, I need a small favor from you. I've started posting these deep dives on Spotify as well, so if you prefer listening instead of watching, or you just want to support me, make sure to follow me there. The link to my Spotify is in the description. Lauren had a boyfriend named Antoine who is also black. Just like with her previous relationship, she did not end things peacefully. In fact, she escalated the situation by telling him to be with his own kind. People confronted her about this, but instead of acknowledging her behavior, she ignored them and even went so far as to block anyone who mentioned it. One person who was blocked after confronting her said, "So you blocked me for sticking up for Antoine after that comment you made about him dating his own kind. How would you feel if someone said some stupid thing like that to you? You would be upset and hurt by it. You seriously have to treat people better because you are not going to have anyone left in your circle." While Lauren was already receiving plenty of backlash online, things got much worse once a video surfaced of her wishing a disability on one of her friend Becca's children on TikTok. Before becoming infamous on TikTok, Lauren's content mainly consisted of live streams with her friends, both online and in real life. Among her closest friends, Becca was one of them. Even then, Lauren and Becca's interactions often seemed odd, as Lauren would repeatedly direct cuss words toward Becca during these live streams.
You're crazy.
Yeah, you're fucking crazy.
Oh,
You're a fucking crazy.
I thought she's your friend. Why would you call your friend that?
Eventually, this escalated into a full-blown conflict. Lauren, along with her equally disturbing mother Jill, began publicly discrediting Becca. The situation worsened to the point where Lauren actually wished a disability on Becca's very young son.
I hope I hope your son has a disability.
The complete irony of this is that Lauren herself has a disability, yet she still wished one on a literal baby. The internet did not let this slide, and she received significant backlash for it. And Becca didn't take this lightly, as she would comment saying, "Let me go call back the Middleton police," implying the potential involvement of authorities for this statement. But even with all the backlash that both Lauren and her mother Jill received, they continued talking about Becca on a daily basis. Jill even claimed in one of her recent videos that she was going to sue Becca for defamation, although it was unclear what defamation she was referring to. Jill went even further by making multiple CPS calls on Becca in a failed attempt to have her parental rights removed, despite having no proof that Becca was mistreating her son. People were understandably outraged by this. One user commented, "Jill admitting to calling CPS to try to get Becca's kid taken away is wild." One of the reasons Lauren and her mother hated Becca was their assumption that she, along with her friend Kayla, another former friend of Lauren's with whom she also has beef, was behind the Lauren Snark page on Reddit. However, Lauren has no proof that Becca created or ran the page, and according to multiple users on Reddit, it was not Becca. One person commented, "Why are they convinced it is Becca and Kayla running the Reddit?" Becca also revealed in a live stream that Laura had let one of her close friends get essayed by her boyfriend, and then continue being with the said boyfriend.
She let her best friend get essayed, and she literally did not give a and continued to sleep with this man.
Although this accusation is not supported by any solid proof, given Lauren's poor dating behavior, it would not be surprising if it were true. While Lauren's behavior was already problematic, it would soon become much worse. As early as 2022, Lauren developed a crush on thirst-trapped TikToker Parker Lanosa, who creates typical TikTok content and is considered one of the platform's top creators with over 1 million followers. She was not shy about her feelings, repeatedly mentioning Parker on both her TikTok and Instagram accounts. At first, her obsession seemed somewhat normal, but it soon escalated into a cringe-worthy fixation. Lauren began to reshape Parker's entire personality through her posts, duetted every new video he made, and laughed at his videos even when there was nothing to laugh at. Lauren's obsession with Parker only grew, reaching the point where she became romantically interested in him and desperate for his attention, all in a very cringe-worthy way. She once posted on her Instagram, "Please, Parker, can you be my boyfriend? I love you so much. I am your biggest fan, and I'm way better than your ex. I would never cheat on you, unlike your ex. I am clean and available. Lauren's obsession grew increasingly disturbing over time, eventually becoming the central theme of her online persona. At first, people only took it jokingly, but eventually Parker's friend heard about it and invited Lauren onto a live stream where Parker was also present. Instead of acting normally, Lauren behaved erratically and desperately, even asking Parker to attend her prom, despite being 30 years old and having graduated high school a decade earlier.
Parker, are you still coming to my prom?
You never texted me about the prom.
Yeah.
Everyone on the livestream, including Parker, was visibly cringed out and laughing at her, though Lauren failed to realize it. Even her comment section pointed it out, with one user writing, "Those aren't the faces of people laughing with you, unfortunately." But Lauren interpreted her brief live stream with Parker as a sign that he wanted to be with her. Soon after, things escalated from a joke to seriously questionable behavior. She changed her TikTok profile picture to a screenshot of their live stream together, and even updated her username to Parker's girlfriend. And this was not some joke either, as Lauren would completely convince herself that she and Parker are in a relationship and that he likes her. This kind of behavior is also called a parasocial relationship, which is a situation where a person believes that another person, mostly celebrities or public figures, is in love with them even though the other person has no idea that this belief exists or that the relationship is imagined. Lauren's delusion would continue to grow even bigger, to the point where she confidently explained to her followers that Parker likes her and that their connection is real. When one person asked her if Parker really likes her, Lauren responded, "Yes, he does. You can tell by the way, if you mention my name, how he starts blushing and smiling." This is a completely made-up story, as Parker had never mentioned Lauren in any of his live streams up until this point. To make matters worse, as Lauren became infamous on TikTok, trolls began interacting with her by creating fake Parker accounts and commenting on her videos, which only further fueled her delusions. In one incident, Lauren went live with one of Parker's real friends, and during this live stream, one of the fake Parker accounts started chatting with her. She then told the person she was live with that Parker himself was in the live stream talking to her.
Parker's here. Parker's in my live right now.
Anna, you know ain't no season over there in Wisconsin.
Parker said I'm back, baby. Yeah.
Parker on your live. Hey, Parker.
However, the guy immediately told her that this was not the real Parker. Instead of considering this or trying to use logic, Lauren insisted that it was the real Parker and claimed that the account was not his main one, but rather a secret account.
The one that's number one.
That's not the real Parker. I know I'm friends with the real Parker. The real Parker. We friends on my twin page. On my twin account, we friends. Like, we used to battle each other back in a couple years ago, but he blew up. Me and my twin, we took a break.
It could be a secret account.
I don't know. But I know his official account. We friends on it. We friends on the official account.
Parker, do you remember him? You used to battle with him before.
That's not the real Parker.
In addition to the guy, everyone in the comments was also telling her the same thing. One user wrote, "Sorry, Lauren, but it is not him." Even after all of this, Lauren refused to let go of her delusion. At the end of the live stream, she asked the fake Parker account to give her his phone number so they could talk and eventually date.
Parker, do you want to exchange phone numbers so we can talk?
These trolls also messaged her in DMs and ultimately convinced Lauren to believe that she was in a relationship with the real Parker. Under one of her videos, a viewer asked, "What happened? Did you and Parker break up?" Lauren then replied, insisting that they had not broken up and that she was still dating Parker, showing just how extreme and terrifying her obsession had become. What made Lauren's obsession with Parker even more disturbing was the more than 10-year age gap between them. When she first developed a crush on Parker, he was barely 18 years old while she was 29. On top of that, Lauren added extremely troubling captions under her videos about Parker, including one that read, #10yearsolder. This behavior was met with widespread criticism online, with people commenting on her videos and posts to highlight and call out her clearly predatory behavior.
Hey TikTok, we have a predator alert. Lauren Ambrose, who is 30, has been stalking Parker. Parker is a young man who goes to Oxbridge Academy, which is a 6 through 12 school.
Lauren also has a parasocial relationship with another thirst-trapped TikToker named Jake Galucio, who has over 600,000 followers on TikTok. Just like with Parker, Jake is significantly younger than Lauren, but she did not seem to care about the age difference. It's a very bizarre display. She appeared on a live stream where Jake and his two friends were present, and asked him to date her.
Becca, I asked Jake if he wanted to go out with me, and he said yes.
Viewers in the comments tried to warn her not to make a fool of herself, saying, "Lauren, don't ask him out, just battle. They are laughing at you. He just doesn't want to be rude." But Lauren took this as proof that Jake was into her, posting multiple times on her social media claiming that she was dating Parker. She even went as far as announcing when they were going to get married, despite the fact that they had never spoken beyond a few minutes on a live stream. Lauren's delusion took an even more horrifying turn when a troll named Samantha, claiming to be Parker's friend, convinced her that Parker wanted to meet her in Florida. Samantha even booked a flight for Lauren, though the tickets were fake, which Lauren failed to realize. Once she announced that she was going to meet Parker, people started warning her that it was a lie, but she refused to listen. In addition to the extreme delusion, choosing to fly was also far more expensive than taking a bus. People in her chat had tried to warn her, but Lauren not only ignored their advice, she became irritated every time she read the comments. On the day the fake flight was supposedly booked, Lauren asked her grandmother to take her to Delta Airport. After reading posts on Lauren's snark page on Reddit and analyzing the situation, her grandmother quickly realized what was happening and tried to tell Lauren that the flight was fake. Lauren refused to listen, and instead became aggressive and irritated.
You know that. Why do you keep saying that people are making fun of me? I already know that, okay? Can you stop repeating that?
The chat quickly began criticizing Lauren for being mean to her grandmother, with one of viewers saying, "Poor grandma, she is just trying to help you." But this was not the only time Lauren exposed herself for mistreating her own grandmother, who has been nothing but supportive, providing her shelter and driving her around. In one of her live streams, Lauren was heard saying that she wished her grandmother would go to hell, despite there being no prior conflict between them. Upon arriving at the airport, Lauren continued yelling at her grandmother while live streaming on TikTok. After asking the staff at the airport, she was told that the ticket was not legitimate. Instead of accepting what they said, she became angry at the airport staff, claiming that they had intentionally canceled the tickets and insisting that she would not leave the airport unless she was allowed to fly that day.
I'm not flying out tomorrow. Well, you're not doing it today. Yes, I am. How are they not going to allow it? It is a real ticket.
They don't have record of it. They don't have the number. They don't have the information.
I don't know how they don't have the fucking information.
While all of this was happening, Lauren was also communicating with one of the fake Parker accounts, providing updates about the situation at the airport.
My boyfriend's in here. He's saying what happened. They're saying they don't recognize the fucking ticket or nothing. And they're trying to see it. They want me to come back tomorrow.
After spending nearly half an hour at the airport, a friend of hers named Uncle Boo joined the live stream and tried to explain to her that the airport cannot just cancel her ticket, and that Samantha was lying to her.
They fucking canceled it, see? Samantha just texted me saying they fucking canceled it.
Lauren, would you listen to me, please? No one can cancel your ticket. That is not possible.
But not only was Lauren completely inconsiderate of the facts, she also abruptly cut off Uncle Boo, telling him that she would be right back after talking to Samantha on the phone, even though he was only trying to explain that Samantha was a fake person manipulating her into doing all of this.
Fly internationally every 3
Let me just talk to Samantha. I'll be right back.
Ultimately, Lauren believed what Samantha told her, that the airline had canceled her tickets without any apparent reason, and again she placed all the blame on the airline.
No one can cancel your ticket. She is lying to you.
No, she's not lying. Maybe the Delta people canceled it on accident because they said they text something about something, and I don't know what it was.
Eventually, Lauren realized that she had been manipulated by Samantha and the fake Parker accounts. She broke down crying, and a few minutes later left the airport visibly frustrated about what had happened.
You're going there? Fine, I'm going with you because I can't go anywhere.
Well, Laura, you are though. You're going to have lunch or dinner.
I'm not going to have dinner at whatever place. I'm going home. That's where I'm fucking going.
Even after all this, instead of taking accountability and admitting her mistakes for not listening to the people who were telling her the truth, she took out her anger on her grandmother, even refusing to wait for her on the way out of the airport. But not only did she lash out at her grandmother, she also got angry at the trolls. While being upset at the trolls was understandable, Lauren took it a step further by contacting the famous reality show Catfish in an attempt to expose the fake Parker who had manipulated her. She was deluded enough to think that the show should pick up her case simply because she reached out to them. The staff of the show, however, refused to get involved, not taking Lauren seriously and expressing concern about her mental health.
Alright, I'm calling Catfish. I'm calling Catfish today.
What does that do?
The Catfish TV show, they'll find out who's behind that fucking account.
Shockingly, even after all of this, Lauren still believes that the fake Parker account is the real Parker, reasoning that he has not shared all the private information she told him online, showing just how deep her delusion goes. If this was not bad enough, Lauren's disturbing behavior gets even worse, as she was exposed for animal abuse. Lauren had a hamster named Duncan around 2022, which she posted about on social media multiple times, often portraying herself as a responsible pet owner. However, the way she actually handled Duncan tells a very different story. Lauren would leave the hamster in its cage all day while she was gone. Not only was leaving the animal in the cage for such long periods of time harmful, but the cage itself was extremely small, making the situation even more unhealthy and unsafe for the hamster. Eventually, after only 3 months of adopting it, Duncan died while still inside the cage, and Lauren was at work at the time. What made this even more baffling is that Lauren went live before even confirming that Duncan had died, talking about it and live streaming the entire situation. Not only that, Lauren also had a dog at one point. One day, while leaving a friend's house, she casually left the dog there and went back to her own home without notifying anyone to take care of the dog and without any intention of returning to get it. People were outraged by her actions. One person commented, "This is insanely messed up. The fact that she calls herself an animal lover is disgusting. Just leaving your dog outside like that? What the actual F?" And another said, "Oh my gosh, this is so sad. She actually abandoned him in her friend's yard. I thought she at least handed him over, not just left the poor doggy all alone." To add insult to injury, Lauren also had a cat named Katrina, whom she actively abused. In one incident, she threw water on the cat while laughing about it afterward. After this, people began confronting her about her actions to the point where she felt compelled to make a response video. Instead of taking accountability or admitting fault, Lauren did the opposite, claiming that the people calling her out were bullying her and insisting that she had done nothing wrong. Although Lauren's behavior generated significant backlash online, with people labeling her a lol cow and multiple commentary channels creating videos about her, this only fueled her notoriety. More people became intrigued by her rabbit hole of delusion and drama. However, in early 2025, after repeated stalking behaviors and disturbing harassment directed at a male influencer she had a crush on, TikTok eventually banned her main and largest account. This marked the beginning of a decline in Lauren's relevance on the platform. She created multiple new accounts, but none gained traction. Her current main account has yet to reach 1,000 followers, and her videos receive little to no engagement. But instead of backing down and reflecting on her actions, Lauren only grew even more desperate for attention, making a frantic attempt to regain the prominence she once had. While continuing to post about her obsession with Parker, she took it a step further by actively interacting with him in his livestream chat. During one of Parker's live streams, where he was speaking privately with another woman, Lauren commented with highly inappropriate and unsolicited remarks. Not only that, but Lauren also posts very personal and inappropriate things online. In one post she said, "Guys, I am going to math tonight. I am definitely in a nice mood to do it. I watched a romantic movie and had a nice candlelight dinner." But even posts like this failed to bring her the kind of attention she was hoping for. Eventually, a TikToker who once went viral on the platform is now barely getting any attention. But even worse than that, she continues engaging in the same disturbing behavior of stalking people online. Fuzz99, or Maul as most people know him, first made a name for himself as a loud and hyperactive trans creator who captured attention by sharing his daily life in a way that was both unfiltered and entertaining.
Yes, who had another gender adventure? I did! I actually owe this one a spooky haircut, but I'm gonna explain, hold on. Ever since I cut all my hair off back in 2020, I have loved it and felt so happy and so much like me. But whenever my hair gets to be a certain length, I tend to get very
And while they brand themselves as a family-friendly creators, lately, that image has been overshadowed by controversy. From getting fired due to interactions with underage LGBT students.
So I've been getting recognized a lot more in public recently, and because of a certain type of people, I've decided that I'm going to start giving out little presents to anyone that recognizes me.
To wishing straight people didn't exist.
I literally said, like, who would want to be straight? Blech.
Fuzz is slowly being denied by the very same community that he claims to protect.
Gross. This is not hating. This is critiquing in a really gorgeous fashion. Every single time I go on TikTok, bro, I don't know what the fuck is my For You page. Gay talk, apparently. Listen, I love being gay, but you know what I hate? Being gay.
After facing criticism from his own community, people couldn't help but wonder, is Fuzz99 a misunderstood creator? Or just another TikToker undone by their own contradictions? Let's dive in. Much like Jellybean, another creator dragged online for being loud, annoying, and cringe, Fuzz99's downfall didn't start with his creepy outbursts.
Hi.
Your pronouns don't equal your gender!
It built slowly, as the very things that made him popular became the reasons he was torn apart. What began as light-hearted jokes about Maul, constantly yelling into the mic and explaining LGBT terms while repeating his most famous catchphrase,
Well,
eventually led to targeted bullying. He was mocked across different social media platforms, which resulted in a stitching trend where creators often edited clips to show how annoying or cringe his content is. Critics argue that his exaggerated style and family-friendly branding contradict the more explicit themes in his videos.
Happy Romantic Visibility Day!
Every year on May 24th, we celebrate our and romantic friends, yeah!
While Jellybean faced criticism too, people held back because she was only 16 at the time. In contrast, people showed no restraint when it came to Fuzz's 99, while pointing out that at nearly 30 years old, he should know better. And with Fuzz 99, it's not just about being cringe, it was about crossing lines.
You can identify as any gender you want and use whatever pronouns make you feel most comfortable. Meaning you can identify as a male, but use she, her pronouns if that's what you like. I identify as just me. Whatever that is. I'm just me, baby.
In fact, one of those so-called lines cost him his real-life job, after a video he made about gender identity sparked backlash outside of TikTok.
I was recently hate crimed for being queer. And as a result of me being hate crimed for being queer, it ultimately led to me being fired from my job as a high school substitute teacher. I hate making content like this. I love making people laugh and smile and forget about all their troubles.
One of the most controversial posts Fuzz99 ever made was the video where they explained different gender identities. On paper, the content itself wasn't wrong. In fact, if you stripped away the performance and just read the transcript, a lot of the definitions were accurate and genuinely informative. People in the LGBTQ+ community who were still learning about themselves could probably find those breakdowns useful.
Long ago, in 600 BCE, on the island of Lesbos, lived a Greek queer poet named Sappho. Sappho wrote many works exploring love, desire, and what it means and feels to be with a woman.
But here's the catch. Fuzz99 had this over-the-top animated style that made everything feel like a skit. Personally, I think that style works fine for certain types of comedy content. No, but when you're talking about something as sensitive and deeply personal as gender identity, that tone can feel dismissive or even mocking.
If you're part of the community and you support who I am, drop a rainbow in the comments right now!
That's where the real criticism came in. People were quick to point out that by overacting and turning gender education into a spectacle, Fuzz99 risked making the entire LGBTQ+ community look like a joke. One Redditor even said, "As a lesbian, we do not claim them. They have a decent message, but they're annoying as hell." And to be honest, I do see that perspective. Representation matters, and when one creator becomes the face of something, their style can color how outsiders perceive the whole group.
What are some common lies about? Well, I'm glad you asked. People, black men and women, the exact same amount.
On the other hand, though, one person's delivery style should not dictate the credibility of an entire community. Just because you don't like how Fuzzes99 explains something, doesn't mean the information itself isn't valuable. In some ways, the fact that they were so loud and unapologetic might have actually made younger audiences feel more comfortable engaging with the topic.
Guess who's going on a gender adventure right now? We are! You're coming with me, man! I came out to my parents last night, and it went really, really well, and I finally feel ready to share my name with the world. That's me. I'm Mac. Nice to meet you guys.
However, the actual question is, are his views helpful or harmful for the society? I think the answer is both. It depended heavily on who was watching. Another ongoing issue is the contradiction between Fuzz99, presenting their content as family-friendly, while sometimes slipping in humor with more mature undertones. Now I want to pause here, because this is important. When you claim your content is family-friendly, people expect you to maintain a certain standard, and a joke about positions doesn't exactly fit that mold, and apparently I'm not the only one who thinks that way. Because one Redditor would also talk about this while saying, I don't think posting your preference regarding bottoms is family-friendly in any way. That said, there are more cringy or problematic people who deserve to leave TikTok permanently. Fuzz99's childish and animated style of shooting his videos also sparked allegations that he was trying to attract children and even messaging minors in their DMs. After Fuzz99 turned off his comments and disappeared for a while, fans were quick to flood his DM with love, while others, like on Reddit, were quick to say, I guess they couldn't take being outed as a while. However, Molly didn't take too long to clarify that he had totally different reasons for turning off his comments.
But I turned comments off because there's a bigger plan already in motion, baby, that only I know about. So stay tuned, baby.
Choosing to assume that some of the parents at the former school where he was working saw some of his videos about being friendly with their kids and probably pushed for him to get fired in the first place.
What happened to me wasn't fair to me or to my students that I helped make a better and safer environment for every single day. Right now in America, queer teachers are under attack and are constantly being targeted and kicked out of the classrooms for being who they are and for helping students feel welcomed for who they are.
On the other hand, adult jokes sneaking into content that appeals to kids isn't new at all. Personally, I think about show with sounds like SpongeBob or Shrek, which are loaded with innuendo that goes straight over children's heads. That doesn't automatically make them unsafe for kids. It just means the humor works on two levels. So, is Fuzz's 99 guilty of anything beyond following a pretty standard entertainment trope? Maybe not. That said, I do think the problem is my perception. Or Fuzz 99 didn't have the established credibility of Nickelodeon or DreamWorks. When a random TikToker makes those jokes, people are much quicker to assume bad intent.
I work at Camp Brave Trails. Of course I'm decked out in rainbow all the time.
What the f is that? What is that? Seems to me that's a camp for the mentally ill. Looks like the whole alphabet is there. I don't know, I wouldn't trust any kid to go there. What is that? I don't like what I'm seeing there.
Personally, I think this is where criticism turned into cruelty. You can dislike someone's content, you can even call them cringy or hypocritical. That's fair game. But spreading baseless allegations is something entirely different. It crosses the line from critique into defamation.
What makes me feel unsafe is that this 26-year-old is very desperately trying to cater to young children.
Accusations didn't exactly come out of thin air. Fuzz 99 was openly queer, and that made them an easy target for certain online communities that already view LGBTQ plus people with suspicion. People were quick to project stereotypes, painting them as predatory simply because they were loud, non-conforming, and talking about gender. And then again, once that narrative takes hold online, it spreads like wildfire.
If your kid were to come out to you as trans or gay, you can't respect and love them for who they truly are, then you shouldn't have kids. Just because your parents birthed you doesn't mean they get to decide who you
To make matters worse, some of the harassment escalated into doxing attempts and serious threats. Whether or not you like Fuzz 99, nobody deserves that level of targeted abuse.
It was once 3 years ago for a month because people online decided to make my real life dangerous and I had to step away for my own safety. And I don't know if anyone actually noticed, besides a couple of my mutuals, but I stepped away from the internet for the summer. All of it. All platforms.
On the other hand, though, there's no real evidence that they were deliberately targeting kids. In fact, many of their themes, gender, online hate, are topics that teenagers and young adults engage with more than children do. Personally, I think their audience was probably a mix. Just like with most TikTok creators, the platform doesn't exactly give you perfect control over who ends up watching your videos.
Two different men hit on me at the club over the weekend.
One gay guy and one straight guy. Now don't get me wrong. I love that my gender is being perceived differently between everybody, okay? I love that for me. I'm living my androgynous masculine life, okay? I love it here.
Personally cringed a lot while watching most of their videos, but the relaxed and more sensitive ones were actually quite easier to watch.
I got outed to my homophobic nana exactly a year ago today, and I never talked about it on here. I made a whole video for it, absolutely in tears, crying when it happened, but decided not to post it and to keep it for myself.
Personally, I don't think Fuzz's 99 was a predator, nor do I think they were deliberately misleading kids. but I do understand why people were rubbed the wrong way by their content style and branding. The information in their gender videos was often correct, but the delivery made it easy for outsiders to mock people associating with these terms.
What's agender and why does the flag look like this? Well, I'm glad you Like some other identities, agender is an umbrella term.
And again, none of that justifies the sheer scale of harassment they received. Criticism turned into cruelty, and cruelty turned into real-life consequences, police involvement, doxing, and a creator being forced offline. So the question we have to ask is this: where do we draw the line between holding someone accountable for their content and destroying them for being annoying? Because in the case of Fuzz99, it feels like the internet didn't just cross that line, it sprinted past it. That should have been the end of it, a respectful back and forth between creators with different views. But instead, people twisted the whole thing into something much darker. Suddenly the narrative shifted, from "this is advice for trans people" to Fuzzes99 is convincing children to become trans. The fact that people quickly labeled him with such serious accusations without ever seeing actual proof of his conversations with younger audiences is not only unfair, it's unreasonable. Nowhere in that original TikTok did they say, "You should be trans," or "Kids, follow my steps." All they said was, "Here's what I did to look more masculine." That's a personal testimony, not propaganda. Yet people projected their own fears onto it, reframing it as predatory. And personally, I think that's where this whole discourse really jumped the rails.
All of the problems that they face, or at least all of the insecurities they have, are a result of them physically being in the wrong body. That's an ideology, and I think that that's incredibly inappropriate to be preaching to children.
So first off, I'd like to say that I really appreciate that creator being as respectful as they came to me in that video. However, they completely missed what we stand for and what we do around here, so I just want to clarify for a minute. One, we do not preach to kids that they were born in the wrong bodies and that they need to change themselves. That would be really messed up if that's what we did around here. I preach to people to be themselves and that there's nothing wrong with being you.
On the other hand, I can acknowledge why some people were uncomfortable. Talking about gender expression in such a blunt, casual way, especially on a platform with so many young users, will inevitably raise eyebrows. Parents who stumble across that kind of content might worry about what their kids are being exposed to. I get that. Social media doesn't come with PG codes like DSTV, so I do think there's space for a discussion about how creators frame sensitive topics. But then again, that doesn't mean we should villainize people for simply existing and sharing their truth. There's a big difference between critiquing tone and outright accusing someone of brainwashing children. And
Bruh, where? Show me these kids. Or better yet, let me see the doctor that's doing it. No kid and no doctor is performing any kind of surgery on kids.
that's where Fuzz99's own clarification comes in. In their response, they were crystal clear. They do not preach to kids that they're born in the wrong body. They do not tell people they need to change themselves. Instead, their message is about being yourself, about finding comfort in your body, and about doing what makes you feel at home in your own skin. Now, whether you personally like their delivery style or not is another story. Personally, I think their loud theatrical style makes it harder for people to take them seriously. The information might be accurate.
Like some other identities, agender is an umbrella term, which means there's different identities under the umbrella. Hey, gender friends consider themselves genderless or gender neutral. Or also as an unidentifiable gender too. They don't like gender and don't want to be perceived as a gender.
Theatrics can drown out the sincerity, and unfortunately, that's where the danger lies. When people see them as the face of the LGBTQ+ community, exaggerated, loud, hard to watch, they project that onto everyone else. It diminishes the validity of the terms and experiences they're actually trying to explain. That sucks them because the information itself is valuable.
Being trans is when you go from being a boy to a girl or a girl to a boy. Not exactly. Well, what is it then?
Again, disliking someone's style is not a free pass to vilify them. A lot of the criticism stopped being about content and instead became about character. People weren't saying, this video is cringe, this person is a predator, this person is dangerous, this person shouldn't exist. That's a massive leap and it's harmful.
Everybody needs to stop stitching Fuzz99. We all know they're super, super annoying and they give us creeps and make us want to cry. But if we keep stitching them, they're just going to keep popping up on our For You page even more and more and more. We need to stop.
On the other hand, I can understand why some viewers found contradictions in their branding. They often describe their content as family-friendly, but then mixed in jokes about being a top or bottom. For adults, those jokes might be harmless innuendo, but for parents seeing a 29-year-old making them on a platform dominated by kids, it raises questions about the audience. But
I was waiting for this comment. I knew it was coming. I knew it. I freaking love fruit. Probably because I'm a little fruity myself.
again, we have to ask, does confusion about the audience justify harassment? Does it justify doxing, swatting, or police involvement? Absolutely not. And that's what bothers me the most. Criticism is fine. Disagreeing is fine. Saying, I don't like this person's content, is fine. But escalating it to false allegations and harassment campaigns is crossing a line. Personally, I think Fuzz99 deserved fair critique, but not the wave of hate they got. People were quick to point out contradictions in their content, but just as quick to turn those into character assassinations. And once that cycle begins, it's nearly impossible to stop. While Fuzz99 is wrong about most things, they are right about the fact that certain people are using their cringeworthy videos as an excuse to throw shade on them.
I just don't get why you get so much hate and why you're hated so much. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, I don't think you or anyone else deserves that, but I just find you and your content annoying.
If we're being honest, they've got their fair share of haters too, like one Redditor. And maybe that's the real lesson here. The internet loves to build people up, but it loves tearing them down even more. Fuzz99 might have been cringe, they might have been over the top, but did they really deserve to be branded as dangerous, harassed into silence, and forced to involve the police? Or is this yet another example of how online mobs blur the line between criticism and cruelty? Their content blurred the line between childlike and child-direct.
It's like nobody wants to be straight.
The overall behavior, the speech, the mannerisms, the aesthetics of these videos are that of what my 4-year-old son would be watching in terms of Blue's Clues or Blippi. Which begs the question of, why? Why? Why are you trying to reach an audience of that age and that maturity? And in doing so, talking about the things that you are talking about. You are telling young children that nobody wants to be straight.
To be fair, that criticism didn't come from nowhere. Maul often described their own content as family-friendly, yet in the same breath, they would post jokes about being a top or a bottom, or even hint at dating their viewers. For an adult in their mid-20s, that kind of humor clashed with the innocent branding they had built for themselves. And honestly, that was a mistake. When you market yourself like the Blippi or Wiggles of TikTok, you invite parents and younger viewers to see you as safe, wholesome, and geared toward children.
In exactly 1 week on June 10th, 2023, we're having our Fruity Fuzzball Pride Party, baby.
Critics have a point. Blippi and the Wiggles aren't making content about going on dates with their audience. They're not mixing children's entertainment with adult references. And when Maul did, it came across as immature at best and unsettling at worst. This contradiction was one of the biggest cracks in their public image.
Exactly 2 years ago today, I decided that I would call y'all the Fuzzball!
Here's the other side of that argument. Being childlike doesn't automatically make someone a predator. That leap from weird vibes to dangerous is where the internet lost its grip on nuance. There's a difference between saying this content is cringe and confusing and declaring this person is a danger to children. Instead of just saying they disliked Maul's style or the amount of information they wrapped that dislike in alarming language, painting them as a threat.
Hello, my lovely fuzzballs. Today, we are going to be playing a game called Suck Up, where basically you play as a vampire and have to convince different AIs to let you into their home. However, we are going to be testing this AI, all these different AIs, and see if any of them are homophobic.
Yes, Maul's style was undeniably strange. Their hyper-theatrical delivery, cartoonish voices, and exaggerated facial expressions made it seem like they were performing for toddlers rather than peers. For many viewers, that uncanny Cocomelon energy coming from a grown adult felt bizarre. Plenty of adults enjoy being quirky or playful online, but Maul's approach leaned so hard into kiddie aesthetics that it made people uncomfortable.
I'm going to my first ever concert tomorrow night, and I don't know what to wear to see them.
Problem is what people did with that discomfort. Instead of leaving it at "this isn't for me," they escalated it into accusations that carried far more weight. Suddenly Maul wasn't just cringe. They were being called a predator. Once those words entered the discourse, there was no going back.
Stupid things I've done to impress a girl, part 2. Woo, woo. This one time, I was talking to a girl. She was pretty cute. She was going off about hockey, something she was really passionate about. And I wanted to show her that I'm pretty passionate about stuff too. But like art. Because hockey's great, but art is amazing.
To be clear, calling someone a predator is not a casual insult, especially when people's only evidence is them asking fans if they would go out with them in their childish attitude. It's a life-ruining allegation. At one point, people even tried to point to a minor they were friends with, only to later learn that the minor was actually their 17-year-old cousin. Inappropriate for an adult in their 20s to be best friends with someone younger? Maybe. But in context, it didn't actually prove any predatory intent. Family dynamics, especially in queer and artistic spaces, often don't line up with traditional age group social circles. And even if it wasn't their cousin, being friends with a 17-year-old is not the same thing as grooming them. This is where the criticism overshot its mark. By branding Maul as a predator, people weren't just attacking them, they were watering down the language we use to describe real. If every quirky, overly theatrical adult online gets accused of grooming, then what words do we have left for actual predators? The internet seems to have forgotten that it's possible to dislike something without morally justifying the dislike by creating outlandish claims. On the positive side, Maul did offer something that a lot of young LGBTQ+ people needed: representation. They weren't afraid to speak openly about identity, to share tips for trans people trying to present in ways that made them comfortable, and to be unapologetically themselves in a world that often demands conformity. For all the criticisms about tone and delivery, their message was consistent: be yourself. And that message resonated with a lot of people who didn't have voices like that in their own lives.
Who identified fall under the bi umbrella, which means they share a lot of similarities with other identities that fall under the same umbrella, but are different. Hey.
It's also worth pointing out that their content wasn't designed to recruit or convince anyone, despite what their detractors claimed. Maul never said, "you need to be trans." What they said was, "here's what I did, here's my story." That's not indoctrination, that's sharing lived experience. And for trans youth or questioning individuals, that kind of representation can be affirming, even life-saving.
Nintendo really just said trans rights in a major Mario video game. In the new remake of Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, Nintendo finally verifies across every single version of the game in every country that the character Vivian is trans.
That doesn't erase the contradictions. Maul wanted to be seen as family-friendly, but they blurred boundaries in ways that made their image confusing. They leaned into a performance style that came across as juvenile, and while some found it endearing, others found it unbearable. And when those people looked for ways to articulate their discomfort, they didn't stop at annoying or cringe. They went straight for accusations that carried the heaviest possible weight. On one hand, their branding choices, their immature jokes, and their confusing performance style opened them up to criticism. They made mistakes. They blurred boundaries. They failed to recognize how their content might come across to parents, to young viewers, or to peers. Those are valid criticisms. On the other hand, the way the internet responded was disproportionate. Instead of constructive feedback, they received harassment, false allegations, and police involvement.
Have to take a break for a little while until a lot of this hate calms down. It might be a week, it might be a month, it might be a year, it might be forever.
This is where I have to be critical again. As a creator, part of the job is knowing your audience. If everyone is telling you your style is alienating, then you can't just dismiss them as bullies. At some point, you have to confront the possibility that you're performing for an audience that doesn't exist, or at least not at the scale you imagine. And Maul never seemed to face that reality. Instead, they doubled down.
Have a date with a cute girl tonight, okay? I'm going. What are you doing? First of all, the flower section here slaps.
It's pretty obvious at this point that when Maldonado was picking out his target audience, he certainly went off course. On the other hand, that doesn't serve as a free pass for all the hate that he's getting. I've blocked creators myself because their style grated on me, but I've also never felt the need to escalate that dislike into harassment. People didn't just criticize Maul's content, they speculated wildly about their private life. Some even went as far as suggesting that the police must have found bad things on Maul's hard drive, which is why they disappeared from TikTok. That leap from cringe creator to secret predator under a police investigation wasn't based on evidence. It was based on projection, rumor, and in many cases, outright homophobia and transphobia. As one person put it, it often felt like people wanted Maul to be a predator, just so their hatred would feel justified. That's chilling when you think about it.
I love making people laugh and smile and forget about all their troubles. I love helping people feel comfortable in their bodies and always preach that there's nothing ever wrong with being you and that you should always identify and do the things that make you happy and feel most like you. I love learning about my community, and I love helping educate others about my community too.
On the other hand, I can't ignore the fact that Maul didn't make things easy for themselves. They were sometimes sloppy in how they presented. Videos with visible hickeys, a constant mix of childlike performance and adult references? Those are choices that understandably confused and alienated audiences. If you're going to lean into an over-the-top persona, you have to think carefully about consistency. When your brand leans heavily into a cartoon-like persona, but suddenly shifts to more mature jokes, people are naturally going to question your judgment.
How does that have to do with Thanksgiving? I don't understand. We're racist. This was so bad. This was so bad. Will 100% get you into the Thanksgiving mood. The vibes are there. Could have been better. Why did they make this? Do not waste your time. Literally do anything else.
Again, questionable judgment is not the same thing as predatory behavior, and I think that's where many of Maul's defenders were coming from. One viewer explained it well. It's fine to find them annoying, loud, even tacky, but that doesn't justify labeling them with extreme accusations about targeting younger audiences. That leap didn't just harm Maul, it harmed the entire LGBTQ+ community, because it played into long-standing stereotypes about queer people being dangerous around kids. And the fact that so many queer creators piled onto the bullying made it sting even more.
What's the difference between and pan-romantic? Well...
Critiques were quick to point out that if a straight adult had created content in the same childlike, theatrical, sometimes suggestive way, the backlash would have been even harsher. But I think the truth is more complicated. Being queer didn't shield Maul, it made them a bigger target. Yes, they sometimes leaned on their identity defensively, but the scale of harassment they faced wasn't because they were hiding behind queerness. Looking back, I find myself torn. On one hand, Maul made glaring mistakes that any creator should have been smarter about. They alienated potential audiences, made poorly thought-out jokes, and blurred lines between family-friendly and adult content in ways that were bound to backfire.
Yo, I think I know what this one is. Really? You do? Yeah, it's when you say bye to gender. Bye, gender. That is not what it means. Oh, well, what else could it be?
The most ironic part of all is this. The valid criticisms that could have helped Maul grow as a creator were buried under the hysteria. Imagine if the conversation had stayed focused on the real issues, like whether their tone was accessible to anyone outside of a niche, whether their humor was alienating, or whether their style was sustainable long-term. Those are conversations that could have made them better. Instead, Maul was reduced to a caricature, the loud, cringe predator.
Why so many of you want to see me brush my teeth on here? I don't know, like Kiss Ross just punched Chris Ross in the...
The whole situation with Fuzz99 says more about internet culture than it does about Maul themselves. We live in a time where disliking someone isn't enough. You can't just say, this isn't for me, and move on. You have to find a moral reason why disliking them is justified. You have to inflate personal distaste into collective outrage. Maul was flawed, frustrating, and sometimes careless. But they weren't the monster people made them out to be. They were a creator who didn't fully understand their own audience, caught in the crossfire of a culture that confuses cringe with crime. Remember, creators are humans too. Even their content can be overbearing at times.
My family at dinner last night told me that I was ugly, that my little chin hairs are disgusting, and that I'm never gonna be able to grow a beard and do what I want to do in life. And it really hurt. And I've already been dealing with dysphoria a lot, so like definitely didn't help my case last night. But I'm here to tell you today that you are not ugly, you are not disgusting, you are a wonderful, amazing human being. And just because your family doesn't understand what you're going through doesn't mean that you don't deserve to be happy.
I think that's where Maul misstepped most. If you lean into aesthetics and branding that resemble children's entertainment, you can't be shocked when people assume kids are the ones watching. And if you then mix in jokes about sex or remarks like you, who would want to be straight, the clash is not only jarring, it becomes outright inappropriate.
It's like blah, because like nobody wants to be straight.
Again, here we are, talking about brainwashing.
On the other hand, Die-Hard fans were quick to point out that Maul never explicitly said their content was for kids. In their mind, they might have been aiming at the quirky young adult crowd, the same audience that once loved Thomas Sanders or the so-random humor era of Tor and Tumblr. But if that was their intention, then Maul failed to recognize that trends had shifted. The same persona that might have worked in 2015 was seen as cringe or toxic.
Understand the message of your video or videos, and I appreciate it. I'll go cancel it all. But there is no need for you to be
freaking yelling! Like, pipe down! Oh my god!
Also, blink twice if you're an actual human being. Because, something tells me you're being controlled by, AI robots.
The thing that does stand out, though, is that despite all the noise, there were glimpses of what Maul could have done differently. Some believe that if they dropped the forced persona and leaned into their genuine self, they might have actually thrived. The energy was there, the confidence was there, but the packaging was all wrong.
Happy 5 years, you fuzzballs! Woo! I can't believe we've been making videos every single day for the last 5 years. We've come a hell of a long way, but...
Instead of authenticity, viewers got a character that felt fake, forced, and confusing in terms of audience. And maybe that's why the police telling Maul to leave the internet was the best advice they could have gotten. Not because they were guilty of anything, but because TikTok's short attention span would move on eventually. People forget. New scandals rise. Old controversies fade. Had Maul taken the time offline to rethink their brand, to clarify who they were speaking to, and to rebuild more authentically, they might have had a shot at a quieter return. In the end, it's not really about the creator. It's about how audiences respond to content they dislike, how quickly cringe turns into canceled, and how little space the internet leaves for nuance. It's about how creators blur boundaries, sometimes irresponsibly, and how audiences weaponize that blur into accusations that ruin lives. Personally, I don't think Maul was ever the monster some made them out to be, but I also don't think they were without faults.
I really hate to come on here to make this video, and I really don't want to because I know that a lot of you out there still really enjoy and like my videos, and they make your day and they make you smile, and that's all I've ever wanted in life. Unfortunately, this morning I had a really bad incident with a hater and had to get the police involved. A lot of people in my life know my current situation right now, and I wish I could talk about it more, but I don't want to.
What do you think? Was Maul a misunderstood creator whose biggest crime was bad branding, or were the red flags too big to ignore? Did the internet go too far in punishing them? Or was the backlash an inevitable consequence of their own choices? Let me know your thoughts down below, because this isn't simply about Maul. It's about how we treat creators, and about whether we've lost the ability to simply say, I don't like this, without destroying someone's life. This is Scott, popularly known as TikTok's Power Ranger.
Let me give a shout out to the MVPs. Goose!
Fuck you, Puppet! We're all the fans! I'm blocking you! Fuck you, goddamn!
Now you may be wondering why Scott is cursing and crashing out on TikTok Live while arguing with a frog. I'll explain. Scott Rogers is a 39-year-old man from Alabama and one of the biggest Power Rangers fans on TikTok. He built an audience with Power Rangers cosplay and it was a massive success. His main TikTok page, the cosplayer 09, has over 250,000 followers, and he has many other pages under his control. The thing is, Scott's fame came with a prize, a hefty prize. Scott obviously has some mental challenges. I mean, he's 39 and he lives with his dad. His room is in horrible condition, and he struggles to articulate himself most of the time. The internet is a brutal place, and it wasn't long until the trolls found him. What started as this wholesome guy sharing his hobby turned into complete chaos. I am talking about meltdowns, where he's screaming slurs, making threats, completely losing his mind on camera, and honestly, it felt like Scott didn't fully understand what was happening around him.
That way, Scott. Just because
This
one
is
person,
not life, it's the internet.
just because one person gets something does not mean.
A group of trolls made it their life's mission to mess with Scott. I'm talking about people tricking him into situations, recording it, leaking everything online, and making fun of him for months. Now, I'm not saying Scott was a saint. He did some awful things that I'll talk about later, but the trolls went too far with the bullying. At one point, they even claimed he was a PDF file, simply because of his looks. How deranged is that? They created fake personas to mess with Scott emotionally, and led him to believe he was in committed relationships with women on the internet. At one point, the trolls even started a rumor that Scott was dead, and had him proving his existence on livestream.
Everybody says AI.
No, I'm not AI.
It was confirmed from the coroner of Alabama that Scott had indeed passed away.
I have not passed away. You're feeding into him, trying to make me crash out, which I'm not going to crash out, so you need to stop.
The trolls provoked Scott, no doubt, but some of the things he did during his outburst were wild, from cursing and breaking things, to using racial slurs and exposing his on TikTok Live. The crash outs were always crazy. Let's sneak a peek into the life of TikTok's most infamous Power Ranger. But what actually made Scott Rogers notorious on the platform? The answer is simple, the crash outs. And listen, these weren't your typical internet meltdowns where someone gets mad and logs off for a bit. No, no, no. These were full-blown, explosive, deeply disturbing episodes that left everyone watching absolutely shocked.
I'm the Red Ranger.
You retarded user 808. You're that we.
Just strong words, bro. Good lord.
Scott, don't use that word.
Freedom of speech.
I'm the Red Wolf Ranger.
Hey, he is working his rights. He's not wrong.
During his live stream, something really dark would come out. This guy who loved dressing up as Power Rangers, you know, heroes who fight for justice and teamwork, would transform into someone spewing offensive slurs like it was nothing.
Wolfpack founder and CEO over here. It's in my bio. It's in my bio. It's in my bio. CEO and founder. It's in
The pattern was always the same, almost like clockwork. Trolls would join his live streams just to mock him. They'd drop comments to set him off, targeting his insecurities, his appearance, his intelligence, his... In one case, he calmly dismissed the rumors, but people didn't really care, and the negative comments just kept coming. The comment section on this video made the situation even worse. Okay, we understand you're not with men, but you probably aren't with women either, so sorry about that. Scott says ain't nothing gay about a man putting your Johnson in their mouth. In some other cases, he would get really pissed off and react aggressively.
You don't want to fuck with me.
God? That's right.
Nobody's seen it. Yeah, it was in your mother head.
From
Take him, block him, block him.
Scott did a lot of cringe stuff. The kind of stuff that makes you uncomfortable just hearing it. What made these videos especially problematic was how frequent they were. Scott's entire TikTok presence became defined by these outbursts.
Y'all don't advertise.
The Wolfpack Discord is in my bio if y'all want to join the Wolfpack Discord.
Drag these nuts, said Tovok. I said happy birthday because it's
yeah.
Thank you.
No, I'm putting that thank you back in your mouth.
Okay, you're muted for a second, Scott, until you can behave. Appreciate everybody for the birthday gifts.
And the TikTok algorithm? It rewarded all this chaos with views and visibility. The more Scott raged, the more platform promoted him. It's honestly messed up when you think about it. Here's a guy clearly struggling with serious mental health issues, being systematically provoked, and the algorithm is like, yeah, this is great content, let's show it to more people. It was an incentive. People were super divided. Some genuinely felt concerned for Scott's well-being, while others called him out. In one of his crash-out videos where he said he was sick of the bullying and quitting TikTok.
Quit TikTok. I'm just gonna quit.
Stop it. TikTok needs...
I'm quitting.
TikTok needs you, Scotty.
TikTok can go to hell.
Users had this to say: "I'm tired of the false hope he gives me from saying he's quitting. He never follows through." It wasn't all bad, though. One user said, "This man knows what makes him happy and he doesn't care what we think. More of us should be like this." And honestly, both sides had a point. It's this really complicated situation where Scott was being deliberately provoked by people who knew exactly how to set him off. But also saying racist slurs and making violent threats is never okay, no matter what someone said to you. The whole situation became a self-fulfilling prophecy. Scott's reputation for crashing out meant more people tuned in, hoping to see it happen. More viewers meant more trolls. More trolls meant more provocations. More provocations meant more crash-outs. And the cycle just kept spiraling until things got even worse. Shouting and cursing were not the only things Scott did during his live outbursts. In one case, he got so mad during an argument that he pulled down his shorts and flashed his...
No, why don't you go drink?
Are you trying to get me? Are you
Yeah?
trying to get
Why don't
me
you go
bananas?
drink your daddy's?
I hope you're not getting me bananas.
You know what? Suck on this.
Wow. 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 Why don't you?
Apparently, an imposter impersonated Scott on a live stream with other creators, so he flashed his credentials to prove he was the real Scott Rogers. Either that, or he was just acting out in blind rage. The bottom line is that he did it, and it wasn't the last time he showed us some skin. Scott exposing himself to male live streamers became yet another piece of evidence for those making allegations about his behavior. What's even more troubling is how this became a spectacle. Rather than being concerned about someone in crisis making terrible decisions, many viewers treated it as entertainment. Like, why do I miss all these good lives? I saw this one live. That thing had some cheese in it. That's crazy that Daniel Larson is packing heat and Scott is packing a micro. Scott's understanding of his boundaries is still unclear. Did he genuinely not know that exposing himself was unacceptable behavior? Was he so desperate for attention that any reaction felt like validation? Or was this a disturbed cry for help? Either way, it brought a lot of attention to Scott, and the digging revealed an unexpected criminal history. Allegedly, Scott was arrested in Alabama for and stealing from a victim. I didn't find details about this arrest, but it came up while other creators were investigating Scott for an alleged charity scam. Scott allegedly ran a brief fundraiser claiming the money would go to Jason David Frank's favorite charity. Now, if you don't know who Jason David Frank is, he was the original Green Ranger and White Ranger. He was a legend in the Power Rangers community, but tragically, he passed away in 2022. His death hit the Power Rangers fandom hard. Now, Scott, knowing how much JDF meant to the community and how much goodwill his name carried, allegedly used that connection to solicit donations from his followers. He even did a moment of silence and everything.
Have God rest Jason David Frank's soul, the original White Ranger. This is to the family. I will carry on his legacy.
People who genuinely wanted to honor JDF's memory and support a cause he cared about opened their wallets. They trusted Scott to do the right thing. But according to the source and angry donors, that money never reached the charity. Instead, Scott allegedly kept it for himself.
Today, I was contacted by the FBI on TikTok, and they are interested in arresting Scott Rogers for the money he took from that charity over a year ago. I was contacted by this account, FBI Hacking 58. And this account looks pretty legit. He was asking a bunch of information about Scott and the money he took, and I flat out asked him, "Will you arrest Scott Rogers for stealing from the charity?" He said, "Yes, sir, if that is okay to you."
Scott used that money for bills, specifically toys. He spent it on buying Power Rangers merchandise from Amazon. We aren't sure of the total, but it may have been between $600 and $1,000 or more. Meanwhile, Scott was trying to raise $900,000 to become a traveling musician, which, let's be real, sounds completely unrealistic, and potentially like another grift. But the fact that he's allegedly raising all this money for himself while owing money to a charity dedicated to JDF's memory, that's particularly disgusting, regardless of his mental state. But wait, it gets worse. There's another layer to the scandal involving Power Rangers toys. Scott claimed that Amazon accidentally sent him over $700 worth of free toys, like they just sent them for free. 4 of these expensive collectible items were worth about $250 each. Scott claimed he ordered one, but got 3 extras.
To get the stuff, and it was supposed to help our charity. Sure as hell ordered a bunch of shit on Amazon. TikTok,
nothing. Amazon messed up because only bought one. Amazon sent me 3 extra by mistake.
Now, I don't know about you, but I've never had Amazon accidentally send me $700 worth of free merchandise. That's not how Amazon works. They track every single item meticulously. The idea that they just randomly sent Scott hundreds of dollars worth of collectibles by mistake? Yeah, no one was buying it. The timing was suspicious, too. Feeling the pressure from angry donors, Scott decided to do damage control. His solution? Donate 2 of the 4 toys to Channel 5. Not to the actual charity that people donated to. Not refunding the people who felt scammed.
I want to thank you for donating those 2 Dragon Daggers at the Channel 5 News.
Yeah, I haven't seen them, when they show it, because they got so many toys in there now.
Yeah.
It's hard to, but...
Yeah, it's like finding Wells Waldo and you can't find them.
Yep.
But I want to thank you for doing that for me.
Well, I appreciate you donating.
This is what we call covering a scam with another scam. The thing is, despite the outbursts, allegations, and overall cringeworthy behavior, Scott still has an understanding fan base. He has several defenders who accept him for who he is, and who voluntarily send him gifts. It's not only trolls. Some commenters said, seeing a grown man play around like this actually brings a smile to my face, as long as he's not hurting anybody. I hope people don't bully him too much. This is just a dude who loves what he loves. No chomo stuff, no weirdo stuff, not a Cyrax. The trolls were more than the fans. And when the video of Scott being intimate with a transgender person went viral, the trolls got more content to drag him with. At some point, it went beyond online shading and actually affected Scott's personal life. This next scandal gets really personal and honestly pretty dark. It involved revelations about Scott and intimate encounters that were allegedly obtained through straight-up deception and manipulation. This whole controversy centered on leaked NSFW content that spread across the internet like wildfire. The video is still up on Reddit, and those who saw the whole thing had a lot to say. One Reddit user said, Scott Rogers does the nasty with a black trans woman in New Orleans, and it's filmed and was posted online. I believe he wears a Power Ranger costume during the act. It's been about half a year since I've seen it, but oh my gosh, it made me laugh so hard because I used to watch Scott on TikTok. Since Scott isn't all there mentally, some people believe that he was allegedly tricked into having him recording the encounter without him fully understanding what was happening or how it would be used. In fact, it was the leaked video that led to trolls mocking Scott about his. It's also why he felt the need to explain himself.
I really do wish that people can stop saying I'm gay. I don't look gay, and I don't be gay. I'm with women, not men. So shut up about that.
Of course, the trolls still found him in the comment section, and most of them were brutal. Remember the Reddit video? We need clarification then. Please explain the Reddit video. The comments kept getting worse. Scott is being progressive here, guys. Trans women are women. Thanks, Scott. While the rumors of Scott doing the nasty with a trans woman were still circulating, trolls started an even dirtier rumor. They accused him of being a PDF file after he posted a video of himself at a park, attempting to do a puppet show for kids.
What's up, TikTok? I'm at the park across the street from my house. There's some kids there. I want to see if I can do a puppet show. Ask their parents, see if I can. Got Carlos with me.
It did seem like Scott genuinely just wanted to entertain kids without fully grasping the implications of approaching random children. The comment section, on the other hand, was ready to drag Scott, with most people calling him out and accusing him. This man gives me such PDF file vibes. He's a freaking weirdo. Why would you think this is okay? One user made a rather bold claim about how Scott was allegedly arrested for touching a kid some years ago. A cop customer at the gas station I used to work at said he arrested him for touching a child years ago. Not sure if he was convicted. The comment led to months of internet investigations. People were digging through his content and analyzing every interaction, but no victims came forward with verifiable stories. No law enforcement investigations have been confirmed by any official sources. The thing is, even when Scott said he wanted to do a puppet show for kids, he never actually succeeded. In a follow-up video that same day, Scott said he couldn't perform the puppet show.
Well, there's soccer practice going on, and parents said we have to go home and eat dinner. But at least I tried. Peace out.
So maybe Scott did have some anger issues and a naughty habit of exposing himself to trolls, but he never really did anything that qualifies himself as PDF file. That didn't stop trolls from targeting him in online battles, though. We already established that Scott had a lot of beef on TikTok. The most absurd has to be his beef with Kermit the Great. Scott repeatedly had online battles with Kermit.
Dear God, you're acting like a baby over nothing.
A baby? What the?
Why are you acting like
not
this?
Call me that.
He's gone.
No, you do not call me a baby.
Well, quit acting like this. You were acting nice.
No, you know what?
I'm calling you. In live, I'm calling. I'm going to have a talk with you.
Stop it. We'll talk later.
These battles worked like this. Both participants appeared on a split screen, and viewers could donate to either side. Whoever got more donations would win, and Kermit kept winning. A literal puppet operated by a troll was consistently beating Scott in these donation competitions, and absolutely destroyed him psychologically.
The belt is ours, Scotty.
Nope, the belt ain't y'all's. Nope.
The Kermit crew's sitting on it right now.
No, you better take off my belt. Stop sitting on my belt, goddammit.
It's belt now.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. I got the goddamn belt.
No, you don't.
See, I got the daggum belt.
No, I'm sitting on it. We're the champs.
No, you thief. You thief.
But it gets worse. It was during one of these Kermit battles that Scott flashed his on camera twice. The Kermit battles became a fixture in Scott's content. He even started posting videos inviting people to these battles before the scheduled dates.
Bro, tune in every morning with me and Kermit. Every morning we battle. And also from the White Tiger Ranger account, people who follow there, follow this account.
The troll operating Kermit knew exactly what they were doing. They'd make the puppet talk in that classic Kermit voice, saying the most innocuous things, and Scott would interpret it as a deep personal attack. He genuinely seemed to believe he was in a real competition with an actual opponent, when everyone watching understood it was just someone with a puppet deliberately messing with him. Money Mike saw how much money Kermit was making from battling Scott and wanted a piece of the action. Their battles were called the Ultimate Showdown and had all the drama from trash talk, donation wars, accusations of cheating, and of course, Scott's signature explosive rage.
Because you a chicken shit, Scott. You won't come see me. You a chicken shit.
I'm not nothing. You're the chicken shit. You trying to destroy people?
I ain't no chicken shit. I ain't scared of you, Scott Rogers. You got me up.
Sometimes Scott would win the battle, other times Scott would lose, and Mike would rub it on his face. The battle escalated beyond just the split-screen competition. Scott started receiving spam calls during the stream, which he immediately blamed on Money Mike and his supporters. Whether Mike actually coordinated that or whether other trolls just piled on, seeing an opportunity, Scott was convinced it was all part of Mike's strategy to make him lose. At one point, the rivalry became so popular that other creators would make videos mocking their battles.
Come see me. I'm not hard to find.
I ain't coming to see you. If I'm gonna go on a trip, it's to a woman.
Because you a chicken shit. You a chicken shit, Scott. You won't come see me. You a chicken shit.
Mike knew exactly how to push Scott's buttons, and he never disappointed. While Mark maintained a level head throughout most battles, Scott always got frustrated.
Hey, if I got Christina, she's mine.
Nah, she ain't yours. Not a damn man, because I'm not gay. You're the one that's wearing pink.
Last time I heard you were gay. Last time I seen you were gay.
The Money Mike saga drew thousands of viewers, and the comments were always crazy. This is the fight America needs. Money Mike the legend. Scott is scared. Money Mike got to Scott, no doubt, but he didn't do as much damage as the trolls who tormented him with his love life. Like most people, Scott wanted a relationship, and even publicly declared that he was single and searching.
Is there any females that are single, don't have any boyfriend or anything in Mobile, Alabama? I'm single, never been married, never had kids. Well, we can't have kids, but female single women in Mobile needs a date. I'm your man.
As expected, most of the comments under this post were negative. People bullied him and made it seem like he wasn't worth love or something. Ripping farts and breaking hearts. Did I hear a Bama barking spider? Bro got the nervous farts. Scott isn't new to trolling, and he's not always innocent. Long before he made the video asking for a girlfriend, he made another video shutting down Holly Harrington's advances toward him. Holly, another TikTok creator, allegedly got into a relationship with Scott, or was trying to before he said he wasn't interested.
This video is to Holly Harrington. I'm not interested in you anymore, and I'm just not interested anymore.
You can already guess what the comment section looked like on this video. Trolls weren't about to let an opportunity to bully Scott slide. Some people even said Holly doesn't exist. The thing is, Holly was real and she really did want to date Scott or keep dating him. In fact, almost every video on her page is about her relationship or almost relationship with Scott.
All the staff there, please tell them stop. Please call me, please. I want to talk to them, please. All the staff on, please, with him.
Scott was simply no longer interested, but it was hard for trolls to believe that Scott could turn anyone down. The whole situation was just wild, and his love life became one of the major subjects of Scott's panel live streams, with trolls disguised as friends. The format for panel trolling was basically a mock discussion setup, often framed around Power Rangers lore, Wolfpack defenses, or fan interactions. But what started as seemingly innocent group chats often escalated into coordinated trolling operations aimed at triggering Scott's worst reactions. In 2025, Scott participated in a Wolfpack battle. It was a donation-driven rivalry that turned into one of his most viral crash-outs ever, racking up over 8 million views. I couldn't find videos of that particular live stream, but Scott would eventually get into a fight with another creator, Curtis, regarding the rights to the Wolfpack.
No, I'm just giving you a warning. You don't know who you messing with. Messing with my woman.
I'm giving you a warning. You mess with me, you mess with my family.
Well, whoever is my girl, and she does not want you.
They created this whole Ranger versus Betrayer rivalry in a group live with 4 or more trolls, using a split-screen format that looked just like Power Rangers pack challenges. Curtis, using a Wolfpack alias, was a rival for leadership of Scott's own community. Curtis allegedly rigged the donation system to win these leadership rounds, which made Scott mad because he saw the Wolfpack as his creation, his community.
I'm the one that created the Wolfpack.
No, you didn't.
When did the Wolfpack started, huh? I created it.
You need to quit your line.
The rivalry between Curtis and Scott didn't last long, and it wasn't the most annoying either. In one panel session that same year, Scott was invited to participate in a group live debate about Scott's Power Rangers pack loyalty, with 5 or more trolls posing as rival Rangers. One troll repeatedly called Scott baby in these affectionate taunts.
Thank you, baby. I love you.
You only call me that, Kilo. Baby? What the? Are you cheating on me?
No,
dare you?
Well, why did you call that person baby?
I said thank you, maybe.
This wasn't random. They knew exactly what they were doing. They were playing on Scott's loneliness, his desire for connection, his vulnerability around relationships. Scott spiraled into jealousy rants about fake relationships. Somehow, they made him believe that he was indeed in a relationship with one of the members of the panel. In fact, Scott called her his wife, and she seemed to just go with it, not minding the possible emotional issues she may have been creating for Scott.
That was wild.
Hey, baby.
Hey,
Yeah, I
baby.
like your hair. I'm saying it first.
Thank you, Scotty.
You're welcome.
Did you really just do that?
She's my wife.
Watcher.
God.
Whoa.
Perhaps the most chaotic panel of all was an outdoor group live at a park featuring trolls, Mean Dean, Billy, and 2 to 3 others, framed as a public Ranger defense panel. The location itself was significant. It was at a park, echoing Scott's failed attempt at a 2024 puppet show. The trolls deliberately tried to humiliate Scott by bringing it up. That alone was enough to piss Scott off.
What about that puppet show at the park, man? Did you ever get to do it?
It's none of your goddamn business.
No fucking worry about it.
None of your goddamn business.
Okay,
whoa. Those are strong words, Scott.
Don't report him. Don't report Scott.
Man, this is the stuff that you've been posting online.
As if that wasn't bad enough, one of the trolls called Scott a PDF file, using his puppet show attempt as evidence.
God, you are just a man. You are.
Whoa! No!
Hey, you. No, that's
Right,
you,
those are
motherfucker.
big- Those are big claims.
Yeah, that's not true.
Go look.
That ain't true.
I honestly felt bad for Scott, because it was obvious that they set him up for drags and wanted him to crash out. Scott started crying, and it really seemed like the trolls were getting to him.
Oh, damn.
I'm done. I'm deleting every account.
No,
You know what? Fuck this. Fuck this.
The thing is, the more upset Scott got, the more aggressive the trolls became, and they knew exactly which button to push to get into Scott's head. At one point, one of the trolls said he wished Scott dead, and even displayed a picture of Scott with the word R.I.P. I was kind of surprised because some of the people on the panel, like Kilos and Emma, were supposedly Scott's close pals, or at least that's how he viewed them. So why did they repeatedly set him up for drags and then pretend to be on his side when the trolls started attacking? Was it for views, fun, or something else? I really can't tell. What I do know is that Scott is someone with obvious mental health challenges, and the last thing he needs is getting trolled repeatedly on the internet. He needs help, and he needs help fast.